Hi, welcome back to Pixie's Projects. In the first half of our video, we had done the marker part of our colored pencils over marker picture that was requested by Marcy. Sorry for all the noise, I'm just bringing my pencils out. We were doing it in Kawaii, which, in case you missed the first half, we had done this picture in just alcohol markers, Ohuhu brand. So now we're going to go ahead and finish up the pencil part of it. I'm just moving all my stuff out of the way here. And I'm not sure how long this video will go. I know the first one I let go for an hour, which was a tremendous mistake as far as editing and uploading was concerned. So I'm really going to try and keep my videos in half an hour and under. So I'll stop this if I get too far into it. But we still have to do the pencil, and we need to add all the little finishing touches like glitter and enamel accents, just whatever fun things we're going to do. And I also need to show you how to clean up your edges, which we'll do now. So a couple options. You could clean up your edges if you go over the lines. Like, let me see if I can pull this up in a way that you can see. Like, all up in here, I went over the lines. And if that doesn't bother you, don't let it bother you. For me, it's a little much. Specifically, here's a better one to look at. Right there, I am over the line so much. So I don't like it. So I said in the last video that I would show how you can easily fix what you've done. You need a ruler. And you need to make sure your paper is behind your picture, which we are behind there. And then you just flush the ruler up to the line. Using the outside part of the line because that's where my mistakes are. And then I take a larger point Sharpie and go over it. Now I have a nice crisp line again. That is one option. You could color the whole outside of the image black. That is another option. You could also use washi tape all around the edges if you have something similar in theme that you like. But there's like a million ways to just fix these silly little mistakes that aren't that big of a deal if they don't bother you. If they do bother you, they tend to be a pretty big deal. And you're going to want to hold your ruler carefully so you don't slide off where you are. And then, as you can see, I have like a little bit of white space left inside of this. So you just come in carefully and fill it in. It's not too difficult. It doesn't take too much time, but it gives you a cleaner edge to your page if that is important to you. Like I said, if it doesn't bother you, please don't allow it to become a thing that's going to bother you now because it bothers me. You have to do whatever works best for you. There we go. And then we've just got the one other side, and we're already going to be done with it. And I can relax a little bit because I really hate seeing on my pages all of that stuff hanging out of the edge. But again, it's just my preference. And if you mess up, you can still just go in and fix it up. So there we go. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure you're in frame. If you want to watch me try very hard to not go outside of either of these little thin lines. And I will admit that I've had this go bad. So that's why if you're on Instagram and you follow me, you'll see that some of my outlines around the book are completely covered because I gave up and just colored it all the way in. But that's it. That's all you have to do. If you want to get rid of that easy, that's a quick and easy way to do it. So now we're back to our book. All right, we need my brush. Make sure you have a brush. So I'm using Prismacolors, and they tend to leave a lot of dust for me. So I just try to make sure I'm ready for it. Okay. So let me know in the comments how you think this is going so far. And I want to get a screenshot of this before we add anything else to it. I think I got you up far enough for that. Maybe a little further. Sorry, once it hits a certain point, I can't see anymore. There, that looks about right. Okay. So we're back in. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Yeah, let me know in the comments if you think we're doing okay, what you would like to see, if you would have changed any of the colors, just out of curiosity. I'm going to start coloring in. I'm going to do, I think, the background first. So I'm going to need my darker pencils. So I'm just pulling those out. And I'm going to start with the wall. Yeah, let's start with the wall. So we have 1054, 50% warm gray that I pulled for that. And we'll see how it goes. And we might add darker into it or lighter. I'm just gonna, I think the backgrounds they put in these books are rather simplistic because that's not the main focal point of their picture. They really enjoy the little anime or chibi girls. So they don't really put a lot into making these backgrounds. And most of the time I'm good with it. I'm not going to try and add extra work to the page. But all I'm doing right now is coloring in about half of these blocks that they added to the wall, just to let them be something like a focal point for us to look at on the walls. Because there isn't a whole lot going on up here. And you could go in here and shade all the edges and have them look a little more three-dimensional. And again, like I said, the background's the least of my concerns most of the time. And if you watched yesterday, you know I took the wood flooring and turned it into stone because that was the part that I cared about. So I went in and fixed that for myself. I don't care about this wall. So I'm giving you some basic ideas of what you could possibly do to it. But like I said, the color of it, or the plainness of it doesn't affect me. But yeah, you could shade around her. You could shade around the shelf. You could add background shadows. I'm not really concerned. When we get to the end, I may add some more stuff to the background. You know, when I get to the acrylic paint and the glitter and things like that. But for right now, this is plenty for me. I hope everybody's doing well today. And if you had a goal for the day, I hope you accomplished it. And if you didn't have a goal, well, I hope you just enjoyed your day and had fun. Or relaxed. I have one more buddy color for Halloween that is slow going, and I'm trying to get that done. And other than that, this is my very last Halloween page for this season. Are you still working on yours, or have you finished up and moved on? I know some people are moving to Christmas, and I just can't. We have a whole nother month of autumn, and the colors for autumn are just gorgeous. And when they're not Halloween, they're still super pretty, and I don't want to rush into the next holiday right away. I don't want to be burnt out on Christmas before it gets to December. So let me know if you're working on Christmas already, or you're taking time for yourself to just enjoy regular coloring, like portraits and you know, just average everyday things, or if you just went straight into Christmas. Because I'm just curious. So that's all we're gonna do to the wall for now. Like I said, we may come back and add into it, but I'm not sure yet. We have a lot of work to do back there with the bottles, which I'll show you in might be the third part of the video. But now we're going to work on this cauldron, and for that I'm using 935 black. And my brain just can't remember if I brought up the fact that we're using Prismacolors or not, but we are. And the marker bits were done with Ohuhu. And the book, in case I forgot to say it, is Kawaii Witch by Lariza May, in case you didn't get to the first video. So yeah. Right now we're just gonna give everything a little bit of more definition with the colored pencils. It's not a big deal. It's very easy, but it just gives you a little extra. And I'm gonna go around the edge of this because this would be the part that was in shadow. Or would have a shadow because the front lip overhangs the back of it. And I just start off pretty dark and then rein it in towards the end. I just try to get it as close to the color of the marker as possible towards the end so that it just kind of fades in. And like I said, it really just gives it some dimension that it didn't have. And I'm going to do around the sides of this because it's rounded. And the same on this side. And then I'll do the legs, which are underneath. So I'm going to do the very tops of them. And I know a lot of people like to get everything burnished. I don't think it's necessary for this, but you do what you want to do in your book. I'm just giving it a little bit of color. And especially since it's got the marker underneath, it's not like you have to get rid of the white space. You just have extra gray underneath. Or another shade of gray. But I'm not very precise either. I just go till it looks finished. And I'm going all the way around because it's a round object. So the sides coming around I think would be darker, as well as the bottom because it's got, you know, it's coming up from the floor. But you do as much as you want to do for this. Like if you finished the marker part and you're done, you're done. Everybody doesn't have to do the same amount of effort. And frankly, for myself, I think a lot of the time the effort that I put in is ridiculous and I should have just had a good time. I do marker pages because they're easy for me. You know, just to color, block, color. Oh, good, we're still in frame. Okay. To just do the block color is really fun for me. But then I, a lot of times, feel like, well, it's not finished. I have to keep going. And so I do. And it does. It looks nice, but it just makes extra work when you could just be done and happy. Well, at least for me. And like most of the time when I make a statement, I am talking directly about me. It's never about how somebody else does something or what they should do, because I definitely don't want to be responsible for what you should do. It's just how I feel about what I do and the amount of effort or time I take to do something. Sometimes I think it's ridiculous. I do not mean that everybody who takes time is ridiculous. I think sometimes people get upset and think that certain things are ascribed to them when it's nothing to do with you. It's my feelings about my stuff. I'm going to go ahead and do her shoes because I'm in this gray, so I might as well just keep going with the gray. And I'm going to use 1052, which may be too light, so I'll just come back if it is. This is 30% warm gray. I just want to give them a little more definition. And somehow that back shoe, which because we're using Prismacolors, we can add it back in. I went over it with the purple by accident. Okay, so all of my gray work is done. And I know you would argue and say that the bottles are also gray, but we're going to ignore those to the very end. And now I think I'm going to do the insides of the potion bottles because that feels like fun to me. So for the green bottles and the Cauldron contents, we're going to use 909 Grass Green and 912 Apple Green if we need it. As you can see, our areas are very small, so we might not need both colors. It just depends whether or not this blends well. Because I didn't test anything. I just grabbed the colors that looked right with the markers. In yesterday's video, I showed my swatch page because I don't color with a plan when I'm coloring by myself. I just color. And because I was asked to do a video on how I do something, I didn't think that you guys wanted the extra 2-hour video of me rummaging through all my drawers and wandering all over my studio trying to find exactly what I want to use, or, you know, me not knowing what my plan was, and a lot of the sitting here thinking part of it. So I did try to prepare as many of my tools as possible, and I am doing these bubbles. If you're following along, like if you're like literally in real time coloring with me, I'm going to apologize now. I don't think these bubbles are going to stay this color or stay in this format. I'm thinking at the end when I do the magic bits, that's what I tend to call the glitter and the enamel accents and paints and anything else I try to add on that isn't like a traditional coloring medium like a pencil or a marker. When I add all that on, I may cover those bubbles up completely. So don't get too attached, I guess. And if you are coloring along, you may want to hold off on this part till you see the rest of the video. Or just do the extra work with me for fun, I guess. But anyway, yeah, I'm just adding where I think the stuff should be darker. I'm putting it darker. I'm not an art teacher. I'm not an artist. I took art classes, but I don't really care too much about that stuff. I'm coloring and I'm having fun. So I wouldn't look to me for technical advice. I would look and say, oh, okay, she's having a good time, or it's close enough, you know? But if you're looking for something technical, I highly suggest you follow like art YouTubers that create their own content, like their own pictures and things. There's like amazing colored pencil artists that could definitely show you where stuff belongs better than I could. And like I said, I just kind of, this feels right, so I do this. But I'm just adding a little darkness around her hands and in the mouth of the bottle because that would be darker, and just around the liquid ingredients. And I am going to go in with, I forget already, 912? No, yeah, 912 apple green. I'm going to do the apple green because I feel like where the other green ends, it's just a little too different. So if I throw the other one on top of it, I can get them closer together. Yeah, I like that better. And I am going to go over all my bubbles because I can't stop myself. And like I said, they could be completely different by the time I finish this picture. You know, I've been posting on Instagram for 5 years. All my colorings and things, and it makes me laugh so much when somebody tells me how great something looks. And I mean, I'm thankful also, don't get me wrong, but it's like nobody knows what I did underneath of it, and then came back and was like, oh, I don't like it, and then completely redid parts of it. And yeah, I just think if people knew, I don't feel like a fraud or anything, because I did the secondary work as well, but it's so much stuff that I change in the process of it. And I wonder, like, if anybody could see, and then here I am on YouTube saying, this is how I color. And if we get to the end and I change, like, most of it, I don't know how that's going to go over, but that's kind of what I do. So, we'll see. Okay, so I think the green part is done. You know, till later, when the magic happens. Now I'm going to do the fluorescent orange bottle. So the fluorescent orange bottle was 401 or F04 in the markers. And for the Prismacolors, it's going to be 918 orange and 118 cadmium orange hue. And again, it's just like the green. I have two colors just to be safe. All right, so we're going to go in on this one. Yeah, we're not going to need that lighter color at all. This one barely touches into it. It just takes off a little bit of that fluorescent color, which is what I was hoping to do. Like, I want it to appear fluorescent, but not the entire thing to just be, wow, I'm a fluorescent marker, you know. So that seems like a lot. So this isn't bad. For me, anyway. And I did around the sides, because again, we're in a circular bottle. And I'm doing the bottom a little bit darker as well. And now, out of curiosity, I am going to go in with 118, the Cadmium Orange Hue, and just see if it adds any. It does. It adds a good bit. Okay, we're going to continue with this. See, I could have left well enough alone, but I'm back in because I need to know. That's not bad. All right, so now we have the orange bottle. And now I'm going to do the yellow one, which we did with F01 in the Ohuhu. And I'm coming in with 917 Sunburst Yellow. And as a backup, 916, I think it's Canary Yellow. Yeah, that looks like Canary. This is why I don't know. It's so tiny. All right, so we're going to start with a darker one, which is the Sunburst Yellow, which I think might be too dark. So we're going to go in careful. No, I don't think it's too dark. Or at least it doesn't seem like it. And same thing, I'm going to do the sides and the bottom with this. Like, I hope y'all can see good enough. I do these videos. I have a lot of trouble sleeping. So I wait at night because everybody's asleep in my house. And it's so quiet. So I can pretty much do whatever I want. And nobody disturbs me, so I try to do these then. If it was like during the day, there'd be knocks on the door, people walking around. So my lack of sleep is good for you guys and getting videos out. I don't remember where I was going there. But anyway, I do this at night, so I really like that color on top of that. We're going to go ahead in with the lighter yellow just to see what we're missing, like we did with the orange. So I'm saying I could be happy with how something looks, but I'm like, let's just keep going when I don't need to. But I do like it. All right, so there's our yellow bottle. I hope the lighting, that's what I was saying. I was talking about the lighting. I hope the lighting's okay. I have like my ring light set up, but it's the middle of the night here, so I'm not 100% sure. When I play them back, it looks pretty good, but you'll have to let me know what you think. Now I'm just doing the rest of the yellow things. I do tend to use something while I have it out. I don't like to go back and forth. So I wouldn't just finish, you know, like her clothes, because there's other pieces to her clothes. I would just do the colors in order. Well, there's no order, but I've already started with the yellow, so I'm going to continue with the yellow, that type of thing. And with the clothes, I had intended to come into all of this darker than the bottle. I want the bottle to remain fluorescent, but all these little clothing bits, I want them to be a little bit darker. So we're just doing the Sunburst Yellow all the way around, and I'll come back with the Canary Yellow in a little bit, but I'm going to finish every last piece of yellow stuff on her clothes first with this. And this full moon, again, not an art educator, so you'd have to figure that out for yourself. What I do is close enough for me. So I'm just doing around the bottom half of the sides and the very bottom of the moon, because it isn't actually a moon either. It's a decoration, like a pin or maybe embroidered, you know. Ooh, that's a good idea too. Make them look like embroidery. So I'm just getting all of these started. And I think after I finish all the yellows, because we are almost a half hour in, I'm going to stop the video, because like I said, we'll do the ones around her dress too. It took a lot to get that hour-long video to process. And I honestly, since I'm so new, don't know the amount of time you actually want to have as a video. If you have preferences, not that I can accommodate everybody either, because I'm quite positive that all the preferences would be completely different. But if you have a preference on like video lengths for a color in chat or for a technique video, leave me a message in the comments. I am curious. I'm really new to YouTube, so I honestly have no idea what would be an appropriate length. Alright, so now we're going back in with the Canary Yellows. And that is just to take that Sunburst Yellow out further and connect it to the Fluorescent, because there is a bit of a line showing, because there's such a difference in the two shades. So this will just make them happier to be in the same spot. There we go. And her barrette. And then her dress. And for the dress, I am really just filling it in and smushing that darker yellow into the other areas. And this is doing nice to get rid of some of the purple that had bled through. I'm not overly concerned about it, but you know, if you can clean it up a little bit, I will. So that's where we've gotten today. I'm just gonna zoom out a little, or not zoom out, I'm gonna do a scan down the page. So we did the cauldron, the walls, the yellow parts, and all the bottles, and the cauldron ingredients. So that's what we've gotten so far, and I'll be back with another video tomorrow to finish this up, hopefully, and do the magic. I'll see you next time. Bye.